Right. You will know when you get there, by Alan Curnow. I wanted to save this for one of the last ones because you Year 11s have come to the end of your journey. Um, you will know when you get there. On one level, it's directions. Keep following the road when you see the roundabout, or when you see the mountain, take the next left. Or you will know when you get there, like a rite of passage, a transformative experience, uh, a dynamic shift. So, in this title, the speaker is directly addressing the reader, or perhaps themselves. I think there might be some ambiguity about this, but at essence, we have an observation of a man descending a steep path to the coast. So it's a cliff face, and down this steep path at low tide, where the ocean has receded, there is the opportunity to pick mussels. These mussels bring food, they bring sustenance, but it's very dangerous work as well. So there is something of the beauty of nature here, but nature is also adversarial, because this is a dangerous and threatening environment. However, it is when you walk upon these paths that are challenging. Another poet, Robert Frost, has a famous poem about journeys. The path less travelled. I took the road less travelled, and that has made all the difference. This is something of a journey, and it's because of the exposure to danger where there is the reward, and that's why I think it's a nice one for the end of your Year 11 journey through the IGCSEs to this moment. It's written in very short 2-line stanzas, and I think within that it reflects the precarious footfall of the journey down the steep cliff face, with the wet metalled rocks that are slippy from the heavy downpour, and so it's dangerous, and it's like the person is picking their path very carefully as they make their way in the very last light of dusk. There's a kind of warning there. Nobody comes up from the sea as late as this in the day and the season, and nobody else goes down. So that presents the protagonist of this as some kind of lone individual, which is kind of heroic because they are taking on a challenge which nobody else dares to take on. The setting, the ruggedness of the environment, it's winter because it's late in the day, the light is closing in, and it's dangerous to be down by the heavy tidal surges and the waves smashing against the cliffs. It's a dangerous place to be. The last steep kilometre. So you get the sense of whoever is on this journey to get there has a long journey, and the last part of that journey down, of course you have to get back if you survive from your quest, is steep. So I'm wearing a grey jumper, but if this was stone and if there had been a heavy downpour, it would become darker, and it could look gleaming in the half light like wet metal. That's of course slippery, which reinforces the sense of the danger and the precarious nature of the quest. And it's a shower. Now the alliterative, or is it sibilant, nature of the shower shredding creates the sound, intimates the sound of the rain upon the earth, and upon the rock, but also the violence of the shower shreds the light, so tears the very light apart. That is violent imagery, which we will see later on in the poem, and the personification of nature as being dangerous and foreboding. And it's well, a shower is sometimes quite light, but you know how they are here in Hong Kong. We get these showers like a orange or red rain burst, and it's as if there's a tank in the sky that's pouring out this deluge. And the caesura and the enjambment there with the effects of lineation is that this pouring of the water, huge volumes through summits. So in the background are, it's the ridgeline, not quite summits, but this must be then a mountainous, which is a jagged, forbidding, tough, natural, physical environment. And through summits and trees, the vapours are thickening and thinning. Well, in the background you can see some of the effects of the light cloud on the mountaintops. They're getting lost, the ridgelines getting lost within the clouds. And after particularly heavy rainfall, there would be the humidity and the rising vapours. Vapours, half celestial, the darkness. I think that there's almost a gothic setting here of the supernatural as well. So wet metalled, the gathering the gold. I get the sense of somebody out on an epic quest, but the fact that there is the half celestial. Celestial means the celestial objects like the sun and the moon, and it's the stars. Incredibly by half celestial, we have the moon appears later on, so it might be a reference to that, or it might be the half celestial, like the very diminishing light of day. And then the dammed reservoir. Well, reservoirs are always sort of dammed. Like if you go around to Sai Kung Country Park, the West Dam there, like they build these bricks up, these huge walls to prevent the water going down. So they are dammed. So I think the dammed reservoir is something of a play on words there. It's a pun, and it suggests the darkness of nature. Maybe this is a kind of hellish environment. It would be in Macbeth upon the moor. You could imagine the vapours thickening and thinning there too, to give it a supernatural sense, and that the deluge is still coming down while the light lasts over the sea. Now here though, it in stanza 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it gathers the gold against it. So that's almost archaic in a sense. And the gold would be the refracted light on the polished or wet rock. So the glints of the last elements of the sun in the sky, and they're just little fragments as well. But that's the first sense that we're getting, that this journey is one of value, that this could be a precious journey. It's the precious light of day, because that's how you can navigate and stay safe. But there's reward through taking on something that's challenging, where you have to endure. So I think that that's where we start to get the sense that this is something to do with like a spiritual quest as well. The light, once again, is bits of crushed rock randomly glinting underfoot. So glinting and preciousness is indicated there, as well as the toughness and the ruggedness of the physical environment, wetted by the short shower. Now perhaps here we start to see a sense of the diminishing nature of the rainfall, wetted by the short shower. Okay, that brings some temporary relief to our hero. Whether that's the speaker themselves, whether they're talking to themselves to give themselves the moral courage, like they're having a quiet word with themselves to keep themselves going on, or whether this is advice from a wise elder, it's wise counsel. Think about Obi-Wan sometimes appearing, his ghost-like visage, the ancestors speaking to you to urge you to carry on your way. And then the protagonist is facing a race against time, which they lose to the sun. The sun gets there first as they go down, down you go, and so the the within line rhyme scheme, I think it's repeated later on, right? Nobody else goes down, and at the second to last line, down you go alone. So that rhyme scheme uh, echoes out. You can almost hear the echo back in the darkness of the lone isolation of the late night traveller. Their isolation is contrasted by these boys. Looks like they could be camping up on the cliffside, and in the safety of their tent by the campfire light, the innocence of their experience. They look out, and they see someone embarking upon something so dangerous that caesura, comma, a pause, a hesitancy to speak. They're unsure about the dangerous quest that they're witnessing, and not maybe sure if this person will be making it back. And then their hesitancy is reflected by the hesitancy of the earth rolling back and away. Is it like the earth itself is rejecting this person because they are getting further and further away from it? If you think about whenever you might have been to Sai Kung to Tai Long Wan Beach, and there's that very steep coastal pathway down, if you look back up, it can be like you are leaving the mortal realm to some degree. And this man, though, is going down to sea. So now we see a third person identification of the subject, and he's going with a bag to pick mussels. So the mussels bring sustenance. They are food that would allow people to survive. They also are very delicious, but they're tough to come by. So this person going down seems to be something of an expert, though. They are in tune with nature. If you remember the boar in Stars Go Over the Lonely Ocean, the boar is absolutely inimitably connected with his environment. And this man, having an arrangement with the tide, knows nature almost on a personal level, so brokers an agreement that the ocean is to be shallowed. Well, the kind of person who can command the ocean or is someone very powerful and mystical themselves. And they're also kind of expert as well, because they know exactly the depth of the retreat of the tide, 3.7 meters. So there's a precision there. This person doesn't sound like, they sound like a common fisherman. So they're not an architect, they're not a scientist, they're not an artist, they're not anyone who's been to, seems to be like university or privileged education. No, but the expert nature of their abilities is presented favourably by the poet. In the 1 hour's light to be left, in the 4.5 lines left of the poem, and they're even facing the excrescent moon. That means the abnormal or excessive moon, and that seems to be taking light away from him. Sponging off means to, if you sponge off someone, it's like you're a sponge, you borrow things or you borrow money off them. The moon itself has been personified as sponging off the last of the light. And then we have this adore, boom, just 2 lines, and that line, that's what could be a rational sentence is broken and shattered and slammed. Violence of that verb action, caesura, a heavy wave, boom, again, slammed, a door, boom, the sea floor shudders. So all of a sudden you've got this vibrating, hugely powerful sensory audio imagery battering at the man's now reached the base of the cliff, right? So that's where the intensity of the waves will be, and he's working alone in this dangerous environment, and down you go alone. You can hear it now, you can sense the danger, but down you go, you keep going, you keep going so late. The darkness, the isolation, everything is emphasized into the surge black fissure. So this is like the darkest ravine, the darkest trench. To fissure means to break, so it's a chasm, but it also has a kind of violence suggested within that final word, and we don't see whether he does return or not. So there's an element of suspense at the end.